These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries, and with that, we sent away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make all kinds of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.
Oh, Mrs. Garcia, you're a school counselor and new homeowner and grad student. You're an Ander. National University supports the whole you, so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at nu.edu.
This is VSiN At The Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby. Now here's your hosts, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome in VSiN At The Track, road to the Kentucky Derby, and we are just one sleep away from the big race. Aaron, I know when we were starting to talk about this show, I remember, will there be enough news to have a show every Friday came up. Guess what? We got some news today, Aaron. It's been a crazy 24 hours. We'll recap all of that. We've got a lot to do, but before we do it, I got to give a shout out here to Xpressbet. They came up huge here. They're going to be giving away vouchers today over on their website, and we are also going to throw in a free 1-month subscription at VSiN.com as well for any chats that we read out. So if you are joining us live on YouTube and we read your chat at any point during the show, you've won a $25 voucher and a month subscription over at VSiN. Just make sure you drop your email in the chat so we can get it to you. Aaron, how pumped are you one day away?
Dude, I am so excited. I woke up today bright and early, ready to go. This is for us. This is, Christmas Eve, basically, for horse racing players. We've got a great day in store for us coming up. It's going to be an amazing race, like always. I am a little worried about the weather, Mike. I'm a little stressed about that right now. But as far as the excitement level, it can't be any higher right now. Like I said, we're getting close. We're less than 24 hours almost until the big race.
Yeah, it's the weather, always a big question mark. We've seen some sloppy Kentucky Derbies in the past. We're hoping we can avoid the rain tomorrow. Looks like we might get some rain later today, maybe tomorrow morning. I'm thinking we're going to get fast and probably good tomorrow later in the day. Hopefully that's what we end up with instead of a muddy track. But we'll keep you posted. If you want to follow us tomorrow, make sure you're listening over on VSiN Channel 158 over on SiriusXM, as well as Mad Dog Radio from 4 to 8 Eastern. Both Aaron and I will be joining you live there as well. So make sure you check that out and stay with us throughout the process. And if you're looking for more Kentucky Derby action, make sure you head over to VSiN.com. Check out the Kentucky Derby guide. It's live now. I've got an article up there around the pace. I've got an article around the superfecta. Aaron's got his top 4 in there as well. If you head over to VSiN.com/subscribe right now, you can subscribe for $9.99, and that guide is included for free for you. So make sure you go and you check out that Kentucky Derby guide as soon as we're done with the show. Stick with us for the next hour. Then you can jump over there and check everything out. Now, Aaron, I teased it off the top here. We've got a ton of news. We're going to preview the Kentucky Derby in the last segment. We're going to give out our superfectas. We're going to talk about our top 5s here as well, but we've got to start with what happened yesterday. First, we lose Rodriguez, the number 4 horse, one of Bob Baffert's 2 entries. May affect the pace, may not, depending on what you believe from the connections over there. After that, we immediately find out this morning that Grande also out for Mike Rapoli and Todd Pletcher. I think we're both pretty bummed by that. I know I was using Grande in a whole bunch of different spots. I know you had Rodriguez in a couple as well. But the big news from this is that Baeza, the 21, does draw in. Flavian Pratt will ride. And this is a half-brother to Mage, who won the Kentucky Derby 2 years ago, half-brother to Dornock, who won the Belmont last year. How much do these 2 defections and our 1 addition change your outlook on the race today?
Well, I do think it definitely changes things quite a bit, because when you look at it, Rodriguez coming out is huge for the pace. I don't care what anybody says. That was a horse that we thought would go right to the front and try to take this field gate to wire. Him being out, that's big news. That's very big news for sure. And then Grande, let's talk about him for a second too, that you mentioned him. I'm not sure that it affects the pace so much, but it's one less horse that's going to be sitting there kind of in the mid pack or like kind of just behind the speed horses. kind of where journalism's going to sit, right? So that's just one less horse that he kind of has to deal with. So I kind of think the scratch of Grande is pretty significant as well. So obviously having horses out this late does kind of change things quite a bit. But well, you touched on it, and the biggest thing is, and how long have we talked about it on the show here, Mike? Probably 4 weeks now, talking about Baeza. Will he get in and will he won't? It just looked like he wasn't going to make it for the longest time this week. It was like, we're not hearing anything. Nothing happened. And then boom, yesterday we get a lot of rumors swirling, and then we get the actual news of these horses. And you look up and you go, you know what? He's going to make it now. And it is significant. And now we were worried about being at 20. Now he's over to 19 with the scratch as far as where he's going to leave. He's still 21 on the program number, but 19 from the gate. He might move over a couple more as well, and maybe that doesn't become as worrisome as we thought it was. So the complexion of this race has definitely changed with the news that we've heard the last 2 days.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to this. There are more rumors swirling around the backstretch that possibly 2 other horses may not end up in the Kentucky Derby field. That's the 5 American Promise and the 20 Owen Almighty. We don't have anything confirmed. But if both of those or one of those end up scratching out, that takes away more of the pace. And so all of a sudden that does adjust what you're thinking up front.
It absolutely does. And I think Owen Almighty would be one thing, because he's breaking from the 20 if he runs, and I'm just not sure how much he's actually going to be around when it really counts, because he is just not a horse that wants to go a mile and a quarter. But American Promise, I think, would be huge if he comes out. And again, there's no official word on this, but if he does come out of the race, I think that makes a big difference. We talked about his workout a couple of weeks ago on this show where he blazed a 45 and change work. That's super fast. That's as fast as anybody in this race can run. He's trained by Dwayne Lucas, a guy that likes to go to the front with his horses, especially in big races. So I think American Promise, if he does defect from the race and scratch, I think it really changes things again. Owen Almighty, maybe not as much, but American Promise would be a big one if that does happen. We've heard rumors for 2 or 3 days on him. No news, though, so we'll see what happens. We'll monitor that situation as it goes.
Yeah, and we know the connections of Owen Almighty want to run in the race, so it's most likely going to take a vet scratch if he's out. We know Dwayne Lucas wants to run American Promise as well, so we'll have to keep updated on that news, see if we find any information out. If we do, we'll have updates to both the Kentucky Derby Guide, the Superfectas, the pace previews. Everything will get updated tomorrow, so make sure you stick with VSiN.com for all that updated information. And again, 4 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, Aaron and I will be on live leading everybody up to the Kentucky Derby and then talking about everything afterward. So stick with us tomorrow as well. We'll cover all the breaking news at that point. And Aaron, we've been doing top 5s for 6 weeks. And the last couple weeks, we haven't seen much change in those top 5s. This week, we've got quite a few adjustments to our Kentucky Derby top 5s. I will let you take the honor here of going through your top 5 first. So right now, 1 day away, who's your top 5 here in the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, you're right. It's crazy how we've had some changes. And because of what I said about American Promise and the fact that he might scratch, I've got an old friend of mine, a horse that I had on top at one point during the season back in February. I put Citizen Bull back on the list. I've got him at number 5 here. Why? Because, look, he's breaking from the rail. Now I believe he might be the fastest horse in the race, and he may not face that pressure that we thought. So I put him back at number 5. Look, is he good enough to win the race? I don't know. That's why he's 5 and not, 1, 2, or 3. But I do have Citizen Bull at number 5 after kind of the news that we're hearing. Number 4 is Sovereignty, and I'm getting warmer and warmer on him as we go. Listen, Samich, you've kind of convinced me of him throughout the weeks that don't give up on him yet, and I hear you. So I kept him right there at number 4. Number 3 now for me is Sandman. I am a little bit worried because of the news about the pace maybe not being quite as fast. I worry about him more than anybody because the one race he did win, it was a blazing pace, and I'm just not sure he might not get that now with the defections. Number 2 is Tistastic. This is my long shot bomb for the race, 20-1 right now on the morning line, and a horse that I loved stretching on a distance last time out. Going a mile and 3/16 was clearly his best race, and he could weave in and out of traffic and can do it nicely. So I really liked what I saw from him in his last race. And then, of course, Journalism, number 1 for me once again, and he has been ever since that first race of the season back in March. So Journalism, number 1, he drew perfectly. It's setting up to be pretty good for him. So Journalism, number 1, once again for me this week.
Yeah, I don't mind the top five. Citizen Bull, one that I do think is interesting if we see more of this pace end up out of it. I haven't quite come around to the fact that Citizen Bull is going to be able to make it happen, especially from that inside draw, which is just a brutal spot if you do not break. If he misses the break at all, his race is absolutely over. However, you could probably say that for, 18 other horses as well who are in this field. My top five, I'm going for a big swing here at number 5, 30-1. On the morning line. I'm going to put Final Gambit for Brad Cox here in that spot. This is a horse that will need pace to close into, but ran one of the fastest closing quarter miles in any of the Kentucky Derby preps in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Now, that was over synthetic, so the dirt is obviously a question here for Final Gambit. But at the price, this is a horse that I just want to make sure I'm including in the bottom part of superfecta tickets, trifecta tickets. I think it's hard-pressed for Final Gambit to win the race, but I do think he has a very good chance of being able to run up into that try or into the super. The number 4 for me is going to be Baeza, a horse that I never gave up on, Aaron. He was 25th in the standings, but still top 5 in my heart. I left him on here every single week, and I've got him at 4 here now entering the final days leading up to the Kentucky Derby. I mentioned it. This is a half-brother to Mage, half-brother to Dornoch. And Flavian Pratt taking this mount weeks in advance when this horse was way off the actual Kentucky Derby list, to me was a big telltale sign that he believes this is a Kentucky Derby horse. He won with Country House in a 20 post. Yes, he was DQ'd there, but he still ran very well. And Pratt, well, he's a phenomenal jockey, maybe the best in the world. It's almost inarguable. He's the best Kentucky Derby jockey with his record and what he has done getting horses into the top 4. Number 3, the biggest mover for me, Tistastic, a horse that I've made fun of you for backing in the past, but I've come around. I've been watching the replays of Tistastic, watching the Louisiana Derby, love what he's been able to do, showing his ability to weave through horses, his ability to be an athletic horse and get to the front. Sovereignty at 2 for me. He hasn't changed since the Fountain of Youth. Number 1 for me, Journalism. He's the best horse in the race, but there's 20 other horses or 18 other horses now. Going to be tough for him to be able to get the job done. Now, if you are looking to bet tomorrow, if you're looking to bet any of the other races today, make sure you head over to firstbet.com. Firstbet will give you a front row seat to the fastest 2 minutes in sports and so much more. Bet on the Derby and hundreds of other races every day at firstbet.com. That's number 1, STBET.com. New users can get a promo code or use promo code VSiN200 and grab a $200 sign-up bonus. Get ready. The Derby starts at firstbet.com. Now, we're about to go to our first break. Make sure you stick with us through the breaks. We're going to be talking about Kentucky Oaks races, and over on YouTube, we'll be previewing the Kentucky Oaks when this show ends. So make sure you stick with us through the break here. This is VSiN at the Track, Road to the Kentucky Derby.
Here in America, work is in trouble. We've offshored our manufacturing, sent away good jobs, and lost so much ability to make things. American Giant is a company that's pushing back against this tide. They make high-quality clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, promo code STAPLE20.
You're tuned in to VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
What's going on? Welcome back in here. VSiN at the Track, road to the Kentucky Derby. We are live over on at VSiN Live on the YouTube feed there. You can catch the replay tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, if you're looking for any additional information. And make sure to stay with us during the breaks here at YouTube as well. We'll be talking about the races from Friday's Oaks card and previewing the Oaks at the end of the show. But Aaron, we're all about Kentucky Derby Day here. Let's look at some of the undercard races because this is essentially a mini Breeders' Cup here with what you've got over these 2 days. We've got 6 graded stakes on Friday outside the Oaks. You got just a plethora of them on Saturday as well. And one of the ones I wanted to make sure that we highlighted here was the American Turf Stakes. It's going to be the 9th race on Saturday's card, 1 mile and 16th on the turf course here. Grade 1, $1 million purse for 3-year-old colts. We've got New Century, the 3-horse, your 3-1 morning line favorite, who's coming back from an overseas trip there, ran in Newmarket over in Great Britain last time out. Do you think New Century's a deserving favorite? Or are you going somewhere else here?
Look, I don't have anything really against New Century, deserving favorite. Yeah, maybe so. But I am going to try to go and beat him in this one. And I'm going to go with the number 7 Zulu Kingdom as my top pick. Coming in here for a Chad Brown, a trainer that is great over the turf. We always see him do well over the turf, whether it's Keeneland, Churchill Downs, or up on the New York circuit. So Zulu Kingdom, look, he was flawless last year, winning 3 races before losing the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. It didn't run very well. I have no excuse for him that day. He just did not run very well. So draw a line through it. That's what I'm going to do. Came back this year in a prep race for this one down at Tampa Bay Downs and ran extremely well, I thought. And you could tell that was just kind of, okay, let's kind of get him prepped up and let's get him ready to run his biggest race, so far of the season, at least, right here in the American turf, a grade 1 race. So I like Zulu Kingdom quite a bit in this spot. That's who I'm going to put on top, and that's who I'm going to bet to win.
Yeah, look, it's hard to knock Zulu Kingdom. Chad Brown, Flavian Pratt, you love the connections, especially over this Churchill Downs turf course. They've traditionally done very well on these bigger days in Kentucky. But I just can't get around the 3 here. I can't get around New Century, who, if you go back to the run at Woodbine last year in the grade 1 summer, was able to run down some of the best in the world, got a win there. That's the highest buyer we have from any horse in this spot. Ran back in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf and just didn't really get a very good trip in a race with a whole lot of horses. And so I'm willing to draw a line through that one. Now you have New Century returning here to the U.S., switches Barnes to a U.S. trainer, which I think is beneficial here. Brennan Walsh will take over the training duties. Irad Ortiz Jr. takes the call. The two of them have teamed up 25 times in 2023 and 24. 40% of the time they have found themselves in the winner's circle when they have teamed up. I think the 3 New Century is going to be pretty tough here at 3-1. A little bit of a price that I like here. The 5 test score for the Graham Motion Barn I thought was awesome last time out. We saw the improvement that I've been waiting for out of this horse. If test score able to build off of that, I think test score has a big shot in here as well. 10-1 on the 5 test scores. Are there any longer prices that you're interested in?
Yeah, I like your test score pick. I think that is a good one for sure. I thought the number 4, Mi Baggio, would be a horse to kind of take an eye out here. He did not run very well last time out in the Transylvania at Keeneland. He was 7-2 that day, so we all kind of thought he would, and he just wasn't very good. But his races before, he had won 3 in a row. He had been looking very sharp, and he'd been running away from fields and winning by big margins. So again, I'm going to kind of just take a line and draw a line through that Transylvania last time out and say, look, I think if he gets back to his best race, he can still compete and if not win here, at least hit the board. And you're getting a 10-1 price where if he would have ran better in that Keeneland race, who knows? He could be 4 or 5-1. So I'm just going to think something maybe happened to him that day. He was just a little off. Let's get back to our best race. So showing confidence, taking him right back here to this spot. It's a very tough spot. So yeah, give me the 4 at 10-1 is my long shot for this race.
Mi Baggio, right? Is that how you pronounce it? That's how I'm going to pronounce it. I like that a little bit more. I think that's a little more fun. Now, before we preview a couple more races in the next segment, I think it's fascinating what we're seeing from the Kentucky Derby odds. So let's take a look at what we're seeing right now in the Kentucky Derby pool. As we are recording this, there's $2.8 million bet into the pool. We're expecting somewhere around the $45 million mark. Journalism is currently your favorite at 7-2. Your second choice horse right now is Sandman at 4-1. So there is going to be a vying for favoritism here between Journalism and Sandman. I've been saying for weeks Sandman is going to take a ton of money in this pool, specifically because of all the outside noise that you're getting around it, the public money coming in on Sandman. Do you think Journalism may actually not go off the favorite? Do you think it's going to be that much money when we get to tomorrow?
Boy, it's interesting, isn't it? It is. They're getting very close right now. And like you said, there's $2.8 million in the pool. So it's not like chump change right now. There's real money in there. No, I don't think Sandman is going to make a run at being the favorite. I still got to feel like Journalism is going to take the most money here. But here's what it does. It makes Journalism a much better price than kind of what we thought. Because I do think with what we're seeing, he is going to be 3-1, 7-2, instead of like the 5-2 that we thought he might be. So that's good. And here's the other thing, and this is the biggest thing. It makes all those other horses way more playable when Sandman's taking all that money. And what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about Journalism, I'm talking about Sandman, the other 17. And the horses that you might like at least to hit the board, or maybe you're playing in a pick 5, they're going to be much bigger prices. And I think the biggest one on the board right now is Sovereignty, Mike. He is way too big of a price. He's probably, he's done a lot more than Sandman in his career. And he's like triple the price. That's insane right now.
Yeah, we were seeing Sovereignty as high as 12-1 yesterday. That was when Rodriguez was in. Rodriguez actually the third choice on the board when he scratched out of the race. So a lot of that Rodriguez money has kind of redispersed itself into the pool. Sovereignty right now sitting at 9-1. We'll see if that price holds. It's ridiculous if it does. Sovereignty should be the second choice in this race, not the third or fourth choice. Baeza, who we talked about drawing in, was 12-1 on the morning line, was as high as 53-1 yesterday, which makes sense because the horse wasn't necessarily going to run yesterday. Now we're seeing Baeza sitting around 19-1. What odds do you think Baeza actually breaks from the post at tomorrow?
Don't you feel like it's going to be like 12-1 or something like that? I just kind of feel like, like you said, that early money, like the very early money when he wasn't in the body of the field, like nothing showed up on him. And now you're looking up and you're going, okay, people are saying, oh, he's running, let's pound him. And like you said, he's dropped significantly now. I think he'll continue to. So yeah, I don't know about you so much, but I expect him to be maybe the, third, fourth, fifth choice in this thing once it's over, because, that number is going to light up and people are going to know that he's in it more and more as we get closer. So I'm thinking about 12-1 on Baeza.
Yeah, I would be surprised if you get anything more than 15-1. Like that to me seems like the absolute ceiling for his price. There's a lot of people that love this horse, and the futures pools or the early pools, because this is the actual parimutuel pool that we're going to see tomorrow. But the early betting into this pool, he was just way behind everybody else. If you looked yesterday, he had $2,000 bet on him to win after $1 million. We're at $2.8 million now, and he's got over $100,000. So a lot of that money has come in recently, specifically on Baeza. I think his number moves quite a bit. Is there anyone that you think besides Sovereignty is getting forgotten a little bit in the market? We're seeing Burnham Square float up to 16-1 from a 12-1 morning line. We've seen Neo Equos go from 30-1 to 50-1. Anyone else that you're kind of surprised to see the price float up or float down for that matter?
Well, I think you touched on the one I wanted to talk about, and it is Burnham Square. It's not really a horse that I love, but it is a horse I thought would take money. So some horses that I kind of like would be a little bit higher price. And why I say that is Burnham Square won a race called the Bluegrass Stakes, and that race is ran in Lexington, Kentucky. And usually the horse that wins the Bluegrass gets bet on Derby Day, whether they're really good or not. It's just people, maybe they went to the race and they saw him that day. Maybe they're like, hey, he's already won in the state of Kentucky. But it seems like that Bluegrass winner gets bet. Burnham Square is not at all. The other thing with him that's, I think, interesting, if you follow kind of the workouts in the morning, kind of the backstretch buzz, let's call it, he was getting a lot of it. People were really kind of talking this horse up, saying he's looking really good and stuff like that. So I am surprised he's getting ignored a little bit. I do kind of expect that price to go down. But listen, I said I don't love him. I don't hate him, but I don't really love him. But, if he keeps floating up, he's not the worst play. If you could get like 20-1 on him, all of a sudden, I think he becomes playable underneath. So keep an eye on him. That's the one that has me a little bit baffled at the moment.
Two horses that I'm going to be focusing on and really interested to see what happens. One, the 7 Luxor Cafe, 15-1 morning line, right now 12-1 in the odds pool. I'm hearing more and more buzz about people liking Luxor Cafe. This is one of the 2 Japanese horses. We'll see what happens with him running here in the U.S. for the first time. And the other, Tistastic, the 14. And this one I'm calling out because he's basically at his morning line odds, which I am surprised by. I thought he would get bet down based on the defections that we've seen. 20-1 on the morning line, 18-1 right now in the current Kentucky Derby odds pool, Aaron. Do you think Luxor Cafe keeps betting down, and do we get 20-1 on Tistastic?
Yeah, I definitely believe Luxor Cafe will be right around 10-1, 12-1. People are gravitating towards the Japanese horses, and I understand that. Forever Young ran great last time out, and they run well on the international stage. And I'm telling you, stop talking about Tistastic. We want that 20-1, Savage. We don't want him to go down. Don't suggest he should go down. What are you doing? No, honestly, though, I do think we'll get close to that because he kind of is the under radar horse. He hasn't been to the track, for a while. March 22nd was his last race. I just think he's kind of forgotten about right now. So keep it that way. Stop.
All right, I will not mention the number 14's name again until the final segment. But stick with us here after the break. We're going to cover the Old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic as well as the Derby City Distaff. In the final segment, we've got our Superfectas.
Oh, Mrs. Garcia, how do you balance it all? You're a school counselor and new homeowner, a mother of 2, and grad student. You're an ander. At National University, we see the whole you. That's why we're dedicated to your professional growth through faculty mentorships and career support, so you can focus on what matters most. National University, supporting the whole you. Learn more at nu.edu.
This is VSiN at the Track.
You're tuned in to VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in here, VSiN at the Track. Chat, make sure you are continuing to post. We are giving away vouchers over at firstbet.com as well as subscriptions over to VSiN. I'm going to give the first one out here to Kevin B. Kevin B in the chat said he's proud of you, Aaron, for saving your first Bud Light on your trophy case right behind you. I had not noticed that you've got some Bud Light bottles on your trophy case back there. What's that all about?
It's a St. Louis Blues when they won the Stanley Cup. That's the bottles they came out with. It's not. I didn't drink those actually. They're actually full. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, he still hasn't had his first beer there then, Kevin B. All right, Kevin B, drop your email there in the chat over on youtube.com. Make sure we get over to you with the voucher and the subscription there. Aaron, we've got just a phenomenal day. I talked about how great this undercard is on Saturday. It really lives up to the billing. We've got stars up and down the lineup. We just saw on Friday, Fierceness set a new track record. We saw Torpedo Anna, Horse of the Year last year, go down in her debut here at Churchill Downs. Tomorrow, we've got a bunch of more stars that are showing up here for the Derby City Distaff. This is going to be over at Churchill Downs on the Saturday card. This is one of those races that when you look through it, it is hard to really gravitate toward just one horse. You're going to have your favorite here at Ways and Means, the 8-horse, 3-1 for Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt. Deserving favorite, but this is a loaded field. Where are you going here?
Yeah, this is one of your better races on the card. You've got a lot of different aspects here. You've got horses coming off layoffs. You've got horses coming in from all over the country, it seems like, which you get that with big days, but this more than some of the other ones. It just seems like, man, they're coming in for everywhere to try to get this. Full field of 14, like you talked about as well. Look, Ways and Means at 3-1, I get it. I think this horse can win, but I think you need to look at the number 2 Copian. I really like this horse a lot. I don't know if we're going to get 8-1. That's what she is on the morning line. I hope we do. But this is a horse, and we talked about it yesterday. Just when this horse runs one turn, and specifically 7 furlongs, she is a monster. Her last 2 races in the Libre, an easy win in December 26th, went to the Santa Monica next at Santa Anita, and just another easy win, and just dominating fields that weren't all that bad. So I think she comes in with a big shot. And the biggest thing about Copian that I like, she's trained by Richard Mandela, a very good trainer, but a trainer that hardly ever leaves Southern California. He does not ship horses very often. When he ships horses to different tracks, they usually run extremely well. So look out for the number 2 Copian.
Yeah, Copian is one that I think is awfully interesting in here. You mentioned Mandela and his shipping patterns. They're non-existent. He pretty much just stays home. And the fact that he decides to ship out on Kentucky Derby Day into this loaded of a field tells you what he thinks of Copian. 8-1, a great price there as well. So I think Copian's one of those that you got to keep your eye on. I'm going to go to the 7 Vava, though. This has been one of my favorite horses for a while. She's 6-1 in this spot. And we'll talk about things like horses for courses. And that means a horse that just absolutely loves a specific track or a specific distance. And in Vava's case, it's both, Aaron. 4 for 4 over this Churchill Dirt in her career. She's also 5 for 9 going the 7 furlong distance. She's going to have to bounce back. She was not good in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint last time we saw her at Del Mar. She's a little disappointing in the Ballerina the time before that. But if you go back to her Churchill races, she has been absolutely dominant over this surface. She wants some pace to chase. She is definitely going to get that with a 14-horse field. I think Vava has a huge shot here at a nice price of 6-1.
I think that pick makes a lot of sense. And we talk about the trainer Cherie DeVoe and how good she is and how she kind of was under bet for a long time. People are catching up on that now, and now they are betting her. But yeah, I think it's a good pick. It's a horse that, like you said, really has a nice closing kick and has done really well here at Churchill Downs. My only worry was she's coming off a little bit of the layoff. And last year when she came off with a little bit of a layoff, it took one race before we really saw her at her best. So that is my only concern. But look, I like her still. I think all your points make sense. I'm definitely not talking down on her. She's very, very capable of winning in the spot.
Better Boss chiming in. Darth Vader joined the dark side. If this was on May 4th, maybe, but we're on May 3rd, so one day too early for Darth Vader to try and run up to the front. One of the fascinating races on the card tomorrow is going to be that Derby City Distaff, the 10th race on the card. One race later will be the 11th race, the Turf Classic, Grade 1, and just another absolutely wide open race here on the Saturday card. 12 horses are going to head postward. Your favorites is a lukewarm price here at just 4-1 on the inside. Integration, you've got Spirit of St. Louis 9-2 on the outside, trying to show that win down at Gulfstream Park and the Pegasus was not a fluke. Aaron, who are you going to back here in the Old Forester Bourbon Turf Classic?
Yeah, I mean, to put it bluntly, I hate this race. It is such a tough race, and it's just one of those things where it's like you got to pick your poison, and you don't really love any of them. You said it best. The favorite is 4-1, and the favorite has a knack for winning when he runs in lesser races, and then when he gets up to a higher caliber race, he loses, right? And so you kind of don't want to play horses like that, but at the same time, this isn't that tough of a race. Yes, it is a Grade 1 event, which is the highest level you can run, but it didn't draw quite as good as it used to. So, or as it does in the past, I should say. So I went with the number 10 Spirit of St. Louis. Maybe it's me trying to, to rally our St. Louis Blues so much, but Spirit of St. Louis for me, I thought 2 races back in the Pegasus World Cup Turf. I thought ran a very good race. I will be the first to admit that was kind of a mess of a race. It wasn't all that good in quality. Kind of reminds me of this one. And why do I say that? The horse that finished second that day was Integration. So it kind of feels like a copy of the Pegasus World Cup Turf back in January. I don't think Spirit of St. Louis is some kind of great horse. I think he's good. I most years would not pick him to win this race, but in this spot, I think he makes sense. I think he'll rebound from his race last time out where he just wasn't very good. So yeah, give me number 10, Spirit of St. Louis.
Look, I love Spirit of St. Louis. Love the name. Love the fact that I bet on this horse a lot of times and he's won for me, but those were all in state-bred races. And now you're getting into open company. You mentioned it. The Pegasus World Cup Turf was a mess. I don't really trust the result from that one. I need Spirit of St. Louis to show me it again before I'm willing to back him. I am going to go to another Chad Brown, though, and I will caveat this with there is zero chance redistricting the 4-horse is going to be 10-1 tomorrow. I will be happy with 5-1 if I'm being completely honest here. This is a horse that there's been buzz about for 2 years, had a very short 2024 campaign, only ran 2 races. I think was awesome in both those races, yet didn't win either of them. And that's one of the reasons you were seeing the price here. Came back at Fairgrounds, ran in just a mess of a race. So a 60+ to 1 shot, won that going gate to wire that day. I'm willing to just completely throw that out. Now we're getting second off the layoff here for redistricting. Chad Brown goes to his top jockey, Irad Ortiz Jr. to ride the horse. I think it's all systems go on the forward. If we get more than 5-1 on the 4-horse, I think we're lucky here in the Turf Classic. I know you're not as high on redistricting. Why don't you like redistricting as much as I do?
Well, I feel like he's had his chances, right? And I get and understand that they've thought a lot of him, and they're kind of waiting for him to kind of be that type of horse that we think about as a Grade 1 horse on the turf. So, but he's had chances, and he just hasn't quite been able to get the job done. I don't hate him, but for me, I just couldn't quite get there with him. I just kind of feel like this is a horse that needs to prove it, and maybe he does, and maybe you get the job done here and you cash tickets with him, but I need to see him actually run one of these big races that they kind of thought he would always, kind of run. So, look, this is a good spot for him. He, like we've been saying, there aren't any real monster horses that you're kind of scared of. If he's the horse that they think he is, and they've kind of hyped him when he was young, this is a race he'll win. I just want to see him do it before I back him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We'll see if we get the performance we've all been waiting for essentially 2 years now from redistricting. If today is finally going to be the day. I have to call out the 8 Cameo performance. This is a 20-1 shot. This is a horse that I'm going to use in pick 4s and pick 5s that I like underneath, and may even splinker a win ticket if we get that 20-1 price come tomorrow. Ran very well last time out in what was a mess of a race, but it was the upside that I like to finally see here from a son of Oscar Performance, who was a big-time purchase price. Brendan Walsh decided to throw him to the Wolves there in a Grade 2 first time out in the 4-year-old season, and then jumps in here to the Grade 1. So I think this is a horse that's on the improve and should outrun the odds there at 20-1. Now, Aaron, before we jump into the final segment here, before we talk everything Kentucky Derby, our winners, our superfecta, we got a question in the chat from Smitty here. Do horses get to practice on tracks beforehand, or they go in blind into these races?
Oh, yeah. They definitely practice on tracks. They call it workouts. What they'll do in the morning, they'll either go jog in the morning, just kind of lightly once or twice around, or they'll go out there and put in a 4 furlong, 5 furlong workout, which basically that's a half mile, 5/8 of a mile, and they'll try to actually time it and try to really crank up the screws. So maybe not all the time that they work out at the track they're running. Sometimes, they'll be, say they're in Santa Anita, then they ship into Churchill, and maybe they get over the track for about a week. But they get a feel for the track. They usually school them in the paddock and the gates and stuff like that, just to get them acclimated and kind of get them comfortable with the new surroundings, because it is different for them when they first get there, and that's why they usually show up 2 to 3 weeks before a big race.
Yeah, you'll hear a lot of handicappers say they have a workout over the track. It's something that people specifically look for to see if the horse handled the dirt well, something that a lot of people don't know. Every one of these tracks is different. The dirt at Del Mar is different than the dirt at Churchill, is different than the dirt at Saratoga, is different than the dirt at Gulfstream, and so you'll have horses who specifically love racetracks, thus the horse for course that we talked about a little earlier with Vava. All right, stick with us here. VSiN at the Track on the other side. Kentucky Derby picks, Kentucky Derby Superfectas, everything that you want to know for tomorrow's race.
Tuned in to VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
And we're turning for home here, road to the Kentucky Derby. VSiN at the Track. We are about to give out our Kentucky Derby picks after the 6-week process of getting us here, Aaron. We're also going to talk about the Superfectas, one of my favorite bets in the Kentucky Derby. But if you want to catch us tomorrow, make sure you tune in anywhere you find VSiN. That's on the Roku app, the YouTube TV app. You can listen to us on SiriusXM, channel 158, the VSiN Watch app as well. And we'll be on Mad Dog Radio. Just one more place to watch us there. 4 to 8 Eastern tomorrow. We'll cover the 4 races leading up to the Kentucky Derby, including giving out our pick fours, our late pick fours there right as the show starts. And then obviously recap everything that just happened, talk about the Triple Crown perspective, who got the trip, who didn't get the trip. All of that will be covered as well tomorrow, 4 to 8 Eastern, a special VSiN at the Track on Kentucky Derby Day, available everywhere you see right now on the screen, as well as SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio. So, Aaron, here we are. We're in the last segment of the last show leading up to the Kentucky Derby. It means it's time to give out our Kentucky Derby picks. Let's go with the first question. Based on what we've seen from the pace changes, do you think we have a fast pace or a slow pace? Right now, you can bet over or under the first quarter, 23-1, over and under the first half, 46-2. Do you think it's fast or slow, over or under those numbers?
I'm going to go... I think it's going to be more like 46-5. Like I think it's going to be over. 46.50 is kind of what I'm thinking. 23.50 might be something, or 23.20 or something like that. I just feel like with the defections, and I'm still kind of speculating we might get one more. It's just like, oh boy, I don't know, Samich. I'm a little bit worried about it. So I think it's going to go over that total.
Bad pick. They're blazing, baby. They are going to go fast up front. We're going to see 22 and change in the first quarter. I think we're going to see a low 46. I'm not going to say we're going to see a 45-second opening half mile, which would be absolutely nuts for the Kentucky Derby. I do think we're going to see somewhere in that low 46 range. And I think that's going to set it up for the closers, which leads into my pick here. I'm taking the number 18, Sovereignty, on top. 9-1 right now in the Kentucky Derby market. This horse is getting overlooked. I look back, I look what Sovereignty did last year in the 2-year-old season, building up to the Grade 3 Street Sense, which, by the way, was right here at Churchill Downs, ran twice heading into that race, and then ran the best race of his career, third off the layoff, first time at Churchill Downs, going a mile and 16th, was dead last in that race, and just had a devastating turn of foot coming down the lane, was able to gobble up ground, won by 5 over, guess who? Tistastic and Sandman, couple horses that are also in this race. You fast forward to this year, the 3-year-old season, what we saw early at Gulfstream Park, very good first race, comes back, Florida Derby, left a little bit to be desired. But now we get third off the layoff for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott, right back at Churchill Downs, just like last year. The second longest stretch in America gives Sovereignty tons of time to close into this fast pace. Sovereignty wins tomorrow, 9-1, Aaron. Who do you got?
I don't mind that pick at all, especially with the price. I just think, his price is very, very good, but I am afraid you're going to get a little heartbroken as he comes running late, but cannot catch the number 8 journalism. I just think that the biggest thing with journalism is if the pace does slow down, I think he's just fine. I think it helps him. If the pace is fast, I don't think it hurts him. I think he's going to sit a beautiful spot from this eight post. They're right in the middle. I think he'll sit, maybe fifth or sixth up the backside. We've seen him be able to calm down, on the backside and really be patient. I think they'll ask him. I think he'll pass who's in front of him. I think he's going to hold off who's behind him. Now, your situation, I think if the pace is fast, I'm going to be much more scared down the stretch. I will say that because I've seen it happen before where that first flight of horses will move into a hot pace, take the lead, look like they're going to win, and then they get caught late. So I am worried about the pace just a touch when it comes to journalism. But I do think if they say they run 46 and change to the half, I think journalism is winning. I'm not really worried about what's coming in behind them. So number 8, journalism for me. And hey, I am more than happy to take 7-2 on him. I think that is a fair price. If he stays that way, I'll be very happy. Win or lose, it makes sense to me that he's the bet at that price.
Yeah, I mean, leading up into the Derby, we were talking about him at 4-1 in fixed odds markets and how you were never going to get that on race day. And all of a sudden, here we are, and it feels like you might be able to get that on race day, which is kind of crazy to me just because of all the love that Sandman's getting. And if there are any Sandman backers out there, I thought you made a great point a couple weeks ago. I think you should deserve the opportunity to reiterate that there. How do you bet Sandman if you like him? Because betting him in the win pool clearly is not going to give you the best value.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not bet Sandman in the win pool if you love this horse because you are getting a way less price than you should because all of the common money is going there and all the people that follow the owner on the social media platforms that he's on. I think he's on several. They're going to bet him. And so, but they're all betting in the win pool. So if you love Sandman, don't panic when you see that 4-1 or if it's 5-1 or whatever price. Bet him in the daily doubles, the pick threes, the pick fours. The common everyday person they're not in those pools, and Sandman will provide a lot more value in those. So be careful. Don't just bet this horse to win if you love him because the public money is there and it's too much public money, but you can bet him in these other pools where the public isn't there and you're still going to get the price that you probably should get on him.
Yeah, the Oaks Derby double, another way that you could look at betting him if you want to pick the winner of the Kentucky Oaks today into the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. That's a daily double that you're going to get that there's not going to be a ton of public money in. So there are a bunch of different ways you can attack Sandman to try and get value. Now, if you're looking to bet the Kentucky Derby or any other race, head over to firstbet.com. Why not make your first bet your best bet? With firstbet.com, you can wager at Churchill Downs, Belmont Park, and more tracks across the world, all from your phone with video included. Go to firstbet.com. That's number 1, STBET.com, and enter promo code VSiN200 for a $200 sign-up bonus today. Don't miss out. Bet smarter in the Derby right now with firstbet.com. Now, Aaron, my favorite bet of the year is here. I love the Kentucky Derby Superfecta. I've been fortunate enough to hit this twice in the last 10 years. Not the big ones, but, the ones that were at least 4 to 5 figures, which is always nice. This is a $1 bet, and the last 10 years, the average payout has been $51,000 for that $1 denomination. Now, we're both going to give out tickets that are on the lighter side. I know people who literally spend $2,000 betting the Superfecta every year in the Kentucky Derby. The tickets we're going to give out, let's just be honest, they're not going to pay $15,000, $20,000 because of the horses we're using. However, I do think they have a decent chance to hit this year. And my guess is they could pay somewhere in that $2,000 to $3,500 range, depending on where we get the prices in here. So I'm going to kick it off here. Superfecta, for everyone who is just joining us, is the first 4 horses in the correct order in the Kentucky Derby. Now, you can put more than one horse in each of these positions. And by doing that, you have more combinations that are possible. Thus, the bet costs you a little bit more. So it's a $1 base bet, and then you're betting every combination you play. Now, to make it easier, Matt Deutsch, our super producer, has put graphics together for us so we can throw these up. I'll start out with mine here. I'm going to play a $1 Superfecta. It'll cost you $24. I'm going to put the 8 Journalism and the 18 Sovereignty in the first place position. In the second place position, I'll take the 8 Journalism, the 14 Tistastic, and the 18 Sovereignty. So trying to get a little bit of a price in Tistastic there into that second place spot. And then in third and fourth, I will put those 3 horses I was using in second, in the 8, 14, and 18. And I'm going to add the 3 Final Gambit and the 21 Baeza. So that means I need the 8 or 18 to run first, the 8, 14, or 18 to run second, and the 3, 8, 14, 18, or 21 to run third or fourth. If that hits, then I'm hoping for around $3,000, Aaron. That's what I'm hoping for on this ticket for $24. Not a bad return. It's a lotto ticket, but it's a fun lotto ticket to play on Kentucky Derby Day. Tell the people how you put your super together.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. We're very similar. We use a lot of the same horses. I'm a little bit different. I'm just going to go one horse on top. So journalism has to win. I'm going to use the number 8 journalism on top of the ticket here. And I'm going 3 deep in the second leg, the 14, the 17, and the 18. So if any of those finish second, that bet is cash. That is Tistastic, Sovereignty, and Sandman. The third place finishers, Tistastic, Sovereignty, Sandman. And I did use Baeza. I really think he's getting better and better by the second with all these scratches and getting closer to the rail and all things like that. And then in the 4th spot, I used the number 1 Citizen Bull, horse I think might stick around now with the pace maybe not being quite as fast as we thought. And then the same horses there again with Tistastic, Sandman, Sovereignty, and Baeza. So let's hope journalism gets home. And then let's hope, hey, let's do like Tistastic second and, maybe Sovereignty and Citizen Bull. Boom. I think that's $4 or $5 if that comes in. And that's what we'll root for.
Yeah, that's the beauty. If you can get a couple prices home, we've consistently seen prices come in these 2nd through 4th spots. We've had a lot of winning prices as well, but consistently, even when you have the favorites win, you can get pretty good payouts here if you're able to sprinkle in some other prices there. Now, something may change before race day or race time, post time tomorrow at 6:57 Eastern. So make sure you join us. VSiN At The Track special edition Kentucky Derby tomorrow. We'll have our late pick 4 to start the show at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we'll take you all the way up to the Kentucky Derby and through the Kentucky Derby to break down everything that happened, who got the good trips, the bad trips, and what we are looking forward to at the Preakness. Again, that is tomorrow on VSiN, SiriusXM channel 158, and on Sirius Mad Dog Radio as well. Make sure you join us tomorrow for the Kentucky Derby. This has been the final episode of VSiN At The Track on a Friday for now, but we will be back tomorrow. Good luck with all your bets.
Oh, Mrs. Garcia, how do you balance it all? You're a school counselor and new homeowner, a mother of 2, and grad student. You're an ander. At National University, we see the whole you. That's why we're dedicated to your professional growth through faculty mentorships and career support, so you can focus on what matters most. National University, supporting the whole you. Learn more at nu.edu.